Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Daily Devotions, Pastor Chris. I am sorry I'm having terrible connection problems today, and so that's why I am so late getting on. My apologies. My Instagram is fine, but trying to connect to the live stream has been very, very difficult. You are on the live stream on Facebook. Can you? I just need to know, can you actually see me? Only see the opening graphic. If somebody could just let me know. You may, I mean, you now have sound. Um, so yeah, I'm sorry. I see a lot of you are very confused. I just am having a lot of connection issues today. You can hear me. Okay, because I can't see myself on the screen. So, uh, now I'm seeing only graphic only. So some of you can see me and some of you can't. That's weird. You can see the graphic, no video. Okay, let me let me try this. Hang on. Try this. Try this. There we go. Okay. Now maybe you can see me. I see the opening graphic. Cannot see on Facebook, no site, but here in morning only. Oh, hang in there. Hands off. Kim says enemy. So, guys, I'm so sorry. Listen, I have time to say hello to anybody, but welcome so much. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you, Instagram, for being patient. Some of them dipped out. They're like, this is dumb. I'm not going to hang on here anymore. So I apologize for that. But we are back in and we are live. But I want to welcome you to our Monday edition of DDPC. Sorry for the connection issues, but you know, your technology is only as good as technology. So in any case, I want to just talk to you for just a few minutes about this Roe v. Wade decision. You know, we have experienced something in our culture today, and here's the thing: after nearly 50 years, Roe versus Wade, as you know, was overturned by the Supreme Court in a 6-3 ruling, and now the nation is just divided. And what's alarming to me is that the decision is not just divided among the nation, but the decision is divided amongst the Christian community. And it's long been believed that it was the Christian community that was so vehemently against Roe, and now that it's been overturned, it seems that there's a lot of Christians that are either just saying nothing or about it, or they're just or they're actually against this. And you know, here's the thing: as Christians, as believers, and not just Christians, but as believers, we know the exact value of life. We know that God made us in his image. That's why Genesis chapter 1, I mean, in the beginning, the Bible, verse 27, it says, God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. And so we know that we are created in the image of God. And Psalm 139, verse 13 says that I was created, he created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, and I know that full well. Verse 15 says, my frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, God. How vast is the sum of them. And so we know that not only are we made in the image of God, but we are carefully crafted. It's not like we're some assembly line like at a Ford plant that's just cranking out human beings, but we are thought through, and not just physically, but our inmost being. And we see that all throughout Scripture, that children are valued, and that children are cherished. And in Mark chapter 10 and verse 13, it says this. It says, people were bringing little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them, but the disciples rebuked the children. And when Jesus saw this, he was indignant, and he said to them, let those children come to me. Do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these. And so truly I tell you, he says, anyone who will not receive, listen to this, anyone who will not receive the kingdom of God as like one of these little children will never enter it. And he took the children in his arms and placed his hands on them, and he blessed them. So if we understand that life is valued, and that God created us, and that and I guess for some that's the hang up. They don't believe that God that we are created by God. But I guess addressing the Christian community more poignantly today, because because the feelings and the emotions are real. And so the question on the table is, why is there such vicious division over this decision? And what's more confusing to me is, why is it in the Christian community? So I think it comes down to two. I want to share both of those. The first reason is the sinful reason of idolatry. The second reason is the sympathetic reason of compassion. The sinful reason of idolatry and the sympathetic reason of compassion. So the sinful reason of idolatry, make no mistake, abortion, pro-choice, the right to choose has been lifted to the level of idolatry in our day and age. Let me explain that. When we, oh, I just honked my horn. Sorry. When we get so angry that we allow division in our homes, in our families, through our friendships, because of a standard that we are holding, and we allow anger to be our motivator or to be our equalizer, then listen, then that thing has become an idol. But there's probably a deeper idolatry than that of even pro-choice. And that deeper idol is really talking about, and that's of sexual promiscuity. You see, the overwhelmingly large majority of what the left side of the aisle calls forced pregnancies, right? That's going to be the nomenclature you're going to hear more and more. It's what AOC is saying, things like that. But more appropriately would be unwanted pregnancies, right? That are a result of a rape situation, or an incestual situation, an abuse situation, or in some case like a marital rape situation. Those cases, though tragic, are largely in the minority of abortion cases. Most abortions come from people who are engaging in unbiblical extramarital sexual behavior, and because they went through the acts of how you make a baby, they made a baby, and they're like, oops, I don't want this baby. I want to have the sexual relationships. I want to feel those feelings. I want to have that connection with my partner, but I don't want to result in raising a child. And so, look, we all know how babies are born. All babies are born this way. And it's a very small percentage that comes from abusive or forced behaviors. But people like it, and they want it, and they don't want the church to tell them that they shouldn't do that, and they don't want the Bible to dictate how they're going to interact with that significant person in their life. They certainly don't want a preacher preaching to them. They don't want their friends to to leverage their moral feelings. They don't want family members to tell them how they can behave. And further, our society encourages this kind of activity. Promiscuity, multiple partners, sleeping around. This is so normal in our society today. In fact, doctors find it strange when a woman comes in for a checkup or something, and she's an adult, 18, 19 years old, and still a virgin. They're like, I don't understand this. This doesn't make sense. And when somebody chooses to go the biblical route of virginity until the wedding, till the consummation of the wedding, and then they share that moment in the wedding bed, you know, the world thinks that is just absurd. They think it to be crazy, and but that's what the Bible prescribes. And so at its core, the idolatry is really a sexual sin, and the right to choose is an idol that has been lifted up because we want to hang on to that sexual sin. And so when somebody tears down your idol, right? When somebody tears an idol down in your life, people get mad. You love that idol. You worship that idol. You place that idol in a prominent place in your life. That idol is central to how you feel, to what you do, to how you identify. And so when somebody tears that down, man, it's an attack on your identity. And so if you can remember the story of Gideon in the Bible, right? Gideon's commission to lead the people against the Midianites, and so part of this is that he cuts down, he orders and cuts down all the Baals and the Asherahs, right? These are idols. These is idols that people worshiped, the Baals and the Asherahs, and the people, when he did this, the people responded in hate, and they wanted to kill him. Judges chapter 6 verse 30 says, the people of the town demanded of Joash, bring out your son. Joash was Gideon's son, and they said, Gideon's father, and they said, bring out your son. He must die because he has broken down Baal's altar and cut down the Asherah pole beside it. Asherah was a fertility god. It's nothing new, right? And so Gideon cuts these things down. He says, this is not honoring to God. And the people wanted to kill him for it because he tore down their idols. So I think one of the reasons why, even in the Christian community, that people are so viciously one-sided on this issue is because of a sinful reason of idolatry. But the other reason that a lot of people are so passionate about this overturning Roe decision is because there's a sympathetic reason of compassion. And oftentimes, we're trying to, in trying to protect the life of the unborn babies, we forget that there's a mother who's carrying that child, who's affiliated or fixed or attached to this scenario. Both lives matter. And in a world where, I know it's not politically correct to say that all lives matter, but all lives do matter. And that's biblically stated. And so we must also consider the life of the woman. And a lot of people, and this is where a lot of Christians especially kind of get stuck, because they're like, well, how can you only account for the life of the child and disregard the life of the mom? And because they're like, these moms are making very, very hard decisions, especially when they are a victim of rape or incest or some kind of perverse form of sexual behavior that has led them to a place of an unwanted pregnancy. So especially in those situations, and those situations do exist, though in the minority, but they do exist. And so we have compassion on them. And so and probably more of a regular case would be, what would happen if this child being born means the death of the mother, right? What if the mom is risking her life? And I got to tell you, these are very, very difficult decisions, and not choices that I can make for everybody on a stream, unilaterally. That's it's not a fast opinion to be made. But here I can tell you about my life though. I told Jeanette when we started having children, I told her from the very beginning, I said, honey, if it comes down to you or the baby, you need to understand that I made a vow to God to love and to protect you. And I will do whatever needs to be done to love. I'm not advocating abortion. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if it came down to it, I'm choosing you. And that was the decision that I made. And thank God we never had to act on that. But Jeanette and I have a dear friends that are in the ministry, and they had 8 children. They had 8 children, and she was pregnant with her 9th child. And the doctor said that if you go through with this pregnancy, the mom is going to die. Do not leave this man, this pastor, with 8 young children and no mother. Don't do that. You need to abort. And the doctors strongly encouraged this at the earliest stages for the protection and the care of the mom and the family unit. But she was absolutely, our friend, she was absolutely firm. She was not going to abort that baby, and that God was in control, and that if God wanted to take her home, he would take her home. But they would do, she said, make sure this baby lives, which they couldn't even guarantee. I will tell you, they did go through with the pregnancy. They had a very, very hard time. Both of them, the baby and the mom, almost died on a couple of occasions. But they're both alive and they're both healthy, and they have 9 beautiful children, and they got a great testimony. And so honestly, like, who can say what will actually happen? I mean, look at other significant people in history that by today's standards should have been aborted. According to Ranker.com, the pop singer Cher, her parents allegedly considered aborting her before she was born. The famous singer Justin Bieber, his parents were recommended to abort him, but they chose to keep him. Prior to becoming pregnant, Bieber's mom, Mallette, she had suffered sexual abuse. And the shame was so much that the pop star's mom had attempted to kill herself. And she became pregnant with him at 17 years old. And she was encouraged, presumably by family and doctors, to abort Justin. But she didn't. And the world has Justin Bieber today. Celine Dion was another one whose mom was initially devastated because Celine was child number 14. That's a lot of kids, man. That's more than a football team. I mean, she went to her priest to see if she should have an abortion, and the priest told her that she should not abort that child, and so she took the priest's advice, and we have Celine Dion, and now we've all heard the song from Titanic because of that, right? Tim Tebow's parents. Tim Tebow's doing what? Look at all the great work he's doing, especially for the autistic community. Tim Tebow's parents considered aborting him. Apparently, during his mom's pregnancy, she suffered a life-threatening infection, and the drugs that she was treated with caused her severe placental abruption. And the doctors convinced her to abort Tim or risk endangering her own life, but she went against the doctor's orders, and she kept Tim Tebow, and so he's with us today. I know that for me, one of the great influences of my life in my teen years was an evangelist by the name of Reggie Dabbs. Reggie Dabbs is still ministering. He was just at Jensen Franklin's church just a few weeks ago. Reggie Dabbs famously went to high schools all throughout the nation and around the world and spoke to teenagers. And he's an evangelist. He's literally ministered to multiple millions of teenagers around the world. And he testifies that he was the product of a $20 prostitution trick. His mother was a prostitute, and she got pregnant doing a trick, and her pimp demanded that she get an abortion, but she refused to do it. And Reggie was born, and literally millions of people have made decisions about Christ because of that. So, we heard a story yesterday in church from Bill Evans, and I had multiple people, and I see some of you even posting on here about your own situations. That there are multiple people who say, listen, this is a situation we were in, this is the choice that we made, and God is so good. But here's my point. Naturally, there is compassion that Christians should have, that the church and just being human beings, that we must exhibit to people who find themselves in impossible situations. And it's easy to see why people can be passionate on both sides of this topic. But I think that people also need to look at the big picture that the Supreme Court decision made. And that's that this was a decision made by a Supreme Court nearly 50 years ago, and the ruling made abortion a constitutional right, and that never should have been the case. The choice, if you still want to have an abortion, whether you think it's right or wrong, that choice is still available. It's just not available on the national level or the federal level anymore. Now it's just kicked back to the states, and every state own ruling on that. Some states have a zero tolerance policy, and some have up to a certain amount of weeks, and some are, just saying you can abort up until the day of birth. I mean, the gamut is huge. I know in our state, in the state of Connecticut, our governor, and I don't agree with this, I think this is grievous, but he has put out a public statement that if you want to come to Connecticut, they'll pay the freight. You want to get an abortion, we'll take care of you. It's terrible. But my point is that the argument that now people are going to be in back alleys doing these barbaric kinds of extractions the way that they used to do back in the 70s and stuff, like, that's not going to happen anymore. I mean, not that it couldn't happen, but there are alternatives. So in any case, I just want you to know, I think that this is a great and wonderful day for our country. I think it is I think it's lifting the hand of curse off of our country, and I think we are poised and positioned for a tremendous future in our country if we continue to insert biblical value back into our everyday life. So in any case, keep praying, guys. Keep praying. Save the children, man. Really, save the kids. We get so concerned about the box turtles and the trout and the whales and the environment and the climate. Like, what about the kids? Let's save them. Think of all the families that cannot have children, and now there'll be children that would otherwise be aborted who will be born, and now they will have great families to raise them up in. Think of the foster system and how kids can be blessed and touched and encouraged. So before you get angry or passionately argumentative, look at the totality of this subject and prayerfully approach your conversations. Because the truth is that for as passionate as you are about your position, others are equally as passionate. And we do need, as Christians, we do need to show the love of Christ in how we navigate. And don't just say, I'm right, you're wrong, God knew, and that's it. That's not how Jesus would have handled things. So listen, guys, I just wanted to kind of give you some nuggets and some thoughts on that, and kind of give you some extra perspective. Again, I apologize for the lateness of this stream. My connection issues were plenty this morning. Probably the devil didn't want me to share what I shared. But anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate you all, and thank you for giving me the best part of your morning. God bless you, and I will see you, guess when? That's right, tomorrow. Bye-bye.